Well, I thought I was going to come in and have all this music and stuff for you all because one of my favorite artists is Julian Vaughn. So I'm going to encourage you, Julian Vaughn, Kelly O'Neill, and that jazz strain. I want you to hear a little bit of what I'm listening to. I do not own the rights to that music, but I wanted you to listen if you could hear it just a little bit. We were supposed to have a countdown, but here I am, y'all. Hey, happy Friday. Happy Friday. I know some of you will come on in just a little bit later, and I want to say welcome into you today. Look, we're talking about a very serious subject for women and really even families because men go through this as well. So today, welcome into Evolve on this Friday, sort of a muggy day, but listen, we've got sunshine because guess what? We are here. So want to talk to you and thank you for tuning in and joining us on this edition of Evolve today. But it's a very serious topic that I want to talk about, and that is the topic of infertility. And our guest today, we have an opportunity to show the video of the interview. We had to record the interview a little bit earlier. But I want to give encouragement to the women, to the families who have struggled with infertility. It's a very serious subject. And I don't know that we are well versed on the subject in our community. If I'm wrong, I mean, do tell. I mean, do add, give me a comment or whatever, or thumbs up. But I just don't know that we are well versed. I don't know that we even consider alternatives to natural pregnancy and natural and normal childbearing. It's like that's sort of a taboo subject when you talk about in vitro fertilization and some things like that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the clip. But we featured Latrice Slade at the Birmingham Times, and I'm actually going to pull up the article. It was a great story in which she basically let us into her life to be able to see what that journey looks like. And one of the things that she talked about is on the way to childbearing and on the way to in vitro fertilization, there is a lot more than meets the eye. But she's opening the book. And for those of you who have had challenges with conceiving, challenges with starting your families, it is an option. And that's not all. So again, go to the Birmingham Times. You can look up Latrice Slade. She's a local business owner. You may know her from her construction business. Like she's like businesswoman extraordinaire. Okay. But one of the things that's near and dear to her heart is her baby, and she talks and opens up the book about balancing between conception and conception is not the right word, but starting a family is a better word for that, a better description of that, and also balancing it with a high-powered entrepreneurial position. So what I'm getting ready to do right now is go behind the veil, okay? And I'm going to bring you in and I'm going to allow you to listen to the conversation that she and I had. So, again, it is Latrice Slade, and just finding the video for you right here, Latrice Slade. And I want you to listen in as we go behind the veil. And she talks about her IVF journey. All right, family. So, as promised, a special edition of Evolve. And I want to introduce you to someone a little bit more up close and personal. You know about her, you've seen her work in the community, her phenomenal work, by the way. And also, we featured her recently in the Birmingham Times. I want to show you this beautiful, beautiful cover photo of Latrice Slade. And without further ado, we're going to get to Latrice Slade. She is a well-known, not only local, but I would even say Southeastern business owner. And I would even add nationally speaking. Miss Latrice Slade, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for hosting me today. I'm very excited.
You are very welcome. I'm excited to talk about your story of motherhood and balancing it all. And I'll just get right into it and just say the feedback was so positive for women who may struggle, um, either conceiving in a traditional way or either starting a family, maybe in a traditional way. Why did you think it was important to share your story with the Birmingham Times? Why did you think that was important?
I thought it was very important to share my story because basically it wasn't something I shared along the way as I was going through the journey. Actually, when I was going through the journey, it was very personal for me, and I really didn't want to share what I was going through. And so I know how that feels, that isolation, and I want others to not go through that in the future. I want them to feel that they aren't the only ones who is going through that, that
Mhm.
there are resources for them to be able to learn more about the IVF um, process, as well as other women who are out there going through the same thing, but no one is really talking about it.
Yeah. And you say no one's really talking about it. I think, you talked about IVF, in vitro fertilization, which is part of your journey. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about how you arrived at with your beautiful son, and just how that story, and I don't know that I'll let you give as much detail as you want, but just how you got there, and where you landed.
So I got there, you know, I would say basically, when you're growing up, oftentimes you're thinking that when you go off to school, you'll finish school, you'll get married, you'll have kids, um, grandkids, and live happily ever after, right? Well,
Mhm.
sometimes the story is not always that simple. And
Hmm.
so after I finished college, I began to get in the workforce and I was dating and it didn't work out. And, when you go to undergrad, grad school, and a professional school, you're almost basically 28 years old. So 35 creeps up real fast after going to school for that long. And you're trying to establish yourself professionally. And so I didn't really realize that women were considered geriatric at 35 years old.
Ooh,
That was a shock to me.
yeah.
Um, I was really grateful for a conversation I had with my hairstylist. She actually asked me, had I considered having kids? Had I checked on my egg reserves? And I had no idea what she was talking about when she asked about my egg reserves or how to even get checked or what doctor I could go to. Um, so
And
I
you said
began to do
that started
research
the
from that.
journey. Yeah. Go
That was
right.
the beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
Surrounded by other women talking about that. But my
Yeah.
hairstylist had gone through, I guess, some fertility issues. And so kudos for her for having casual conversations like that
Yeah.
to bring it to my attention. That was something I needed to think about. Um, and at the time, I was dating, but, you know, here in the South, you don't ask men to marry you, right? You always are waiting for that proposal, right?
Oh, Latrice, it's a new thing
So
going around, though. It's a new thing going around right now, though. But
I'm
no, we
sure it
don't do
is, but we don't have as much control, over
that.
that issue. Sometimes we will like, and so with that said, I decided I wanted to empower myself. I wanted to make sure that I had options, like, option A, option B, option C. And so I think it's really important for more women to think about that and strategize with what do they want out of life, what's best for them at the end of the day. And so, needless to say, I began the journey with going to see the doctor and asking questions and learning about the a process called a egg retrieval, to harvest
Mm,
eggs and to save those eggs so when I got married, I would be able to still have my child. Well, I decided to look at, I don't know, basically when I get closer to 40, I decided to create embryos out of those eggs. So I was like, well, I'm still not married.
yeah.
What am I going to do?
Hmm.
One of the things that I learned after doing that and getting the results, I learned that it was easier to create embryos once you have the egg retrieval than to freeze it and then create the embryos.
Interesting.
So I want to make sure that when you're doing your research, don't take at face value what the health professionals are saying, do further research to find out statistics, because the statistics will actually let you know the percentage chances of it actually possibly working. The
Okay.
percentages are not as high as you think. You know, you think that you're going through this process, it would be a 90% chance. Well,
Hmm.
it's not a 90% chance. It may be a 30% chance or 40% chance.
Help
And
help
so
us help us clarify right there when you say a 90% chance, 30% chance that. Hold on, y'all. I wanted to come in and just put a pin right there and say you are watching the video of myself and also Latrice Slade, who was a local business owner, and she's talking about some fertility challenges that she faced. And one thing I want you to know, or put a pin in, did you hear her talk about the fact that women are considered geriatric at age 35? Like, like light bulb went off when she said that, because what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you're hearing is, you've got time if you're going to put your career first. And you'll hear me talk about it a little bit later, but as I kind of went on my personal and professional journey, I just kept edging to the back of the line, edging to the back of the line. I'll have time to get married and have a child. I'll have time to get married and have a child. And before you know it, 30 is here. Before you know it, 32 is here. Before you know it, 35 is here. And did you hear? At 35, it is considered geriatric. So I wanted to share this video for all of my ladies who are preparing, and at least give you another option. Because listen, we're putting our careers ahead. Joe and I have a show in which airs every Wednesday at 10 a.m. in which we talk about relationships and such, okay, and just how we're connecting in that space. And I don't want to say it, but I will say it. I hate to say this, but I will say it. What if marriage doesn't come for you until the age of 45? What if marriage doesn't come for you until the age of 38 or 39? So as we age as women, we come to this earth with all the eggs that we're going to have, okay? So if marriage doesn't happen in a time frame in which it's healthy for you to carry that baby, what will your options be? So just giving you food for thought. We're going to go back into the interview. We had to conduct this interview tonight because she's a CEO. She's a boss lady. So she's out of town today, but we wanted to record this. But I thought this information was too good not to share. Tammy, I see your comment here. You said I didn't have my son until I was 35. Tammy, I was blown away when Latrice said 35, we're considered geriatric. And when we start adding up all those years, okay, I'm going to go to college. I'll graduate from college. Okay, I'm going to go get my first job and I'll stay there for a year or two. And then I want to be promoted, especially when we talk about getting up into those senior positions, or, not to mention going back and getting additional schooling. So it's a subject that's a little touchy, for lack of a better word, but it's something that needs to be said and it will help someone. Listen, I know not everyone has the goal of having children and having a family. But if you do, I thought it was so important to share one lady's story who's open to share, because for some reason we don't always talk about this, okay? As women, we don't talk about. And listen, not every woman finds it easy to conceive. I can tell you that from my issues. I'm a divorcee, and I can just tell you it wasn't an easy thing for me to try to conceive. I do not have any children. God did not, see fit for me to have any children. I don't feel any kind of way about that. I think ultimately it is God's will, but also we have choice. And so again, I was choosing career, choosing to do some things that kept pushing that decision back. So all I want to do is sound this off as a public service announcement, an awareness call. And I thank God for meeting Latrice, because she's someone who's saying, listen, I've been through this and it was a tough journey. And better yet, why don't I just continue to let her talk and share her story? So I'm going to put her right back in, and I'll be back in a little while too to wrap everything up. But listen in, she has much more to share with you about her IVF journey. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Add to the stage. Let me add it to the stage. Here we go. There we go.
that you would be able to conceive the
Okay.
child,
Okay.
the embryo
Okay.
inside your womb, and that it would actually become, a baby that you would
Pregnancy.
deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
pregnancy that you would
A
deliver.
personal
Mhm.
pregnancy. Okay.
And
Wow.
so,
Wow.
yeah, and so, I feel like my baby is, basically a miracle baby to me. When you think about the odds of him getting here.
Sure.
So, with that said, I would say that, this is not something that you want to start late in life, with researching or beginning the process. One of the things a lot of people don't know is that the hormone drugs that you are put on to even be able to do an egg retrieval
Hmm.
can cause emotional changes within you,
Wow.
also physical changes within you. I went through a weight gain process as
Wow.
well. And if you don't like shots, like needles for giving yourself medicine, then that may be something that is another hurdle for you emotionally, with committing to 3 weeks of time of taking that medicine on time in the morning and in the evening. Um, and if
Giving
you don't,
yourself shots. Giving yourself shots.
yes.
Wow.
So, in your tummy or in your buttocks, things like that, like uncomfortable areas where
See that
it's
that right
required.
there. That right there would be kind of like a would have been a game changer for me right there, because that would be
Mhm.
tough for me to do.
Right. And
But
initially, when I first did it, I had a nurse, that would come to my house and help me with
okay,
that.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, but there are people that may help you with that. I actually knew someone, and it was a friend of theirs that actually helped me.
Okay.
Um, but the second go around, I was like, I'll try to do it myself. So I began administering the medicine myself, and that took a lot of courage to do that when
Mm,
you're not a needle type person.
sure.
And so by the third round, when I did it, I was a pro. I was like, okay, well, let's just go for it.
Hmm.
Um, And so I just want to make sure that people understand what they're getting into when you start the journey. I didn't know what I was getting into, and I didn't have someone to really talk to about what to expect.
Sure. You didn't have anybody there to hold your hand. I love having this conversation because in being really transparent, and fertility issues affect more women than what we know, and maybe even those who are more comfortable in saying that. I will be transparent and just say, for me at 52, I 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was all about the career. It was all about
Mhm.
excelling. It was all about, how can I reinvent myself in my career, and not having that person there. And so I was so touched by your story, Latrice, because I said, yeah, I said, that wasn't even anything that entered into my mind. I could have done it. And people, people kind of subtly threw it out there. But
Mhm.
I tend to think, by sharing this, the goal is that women understand, you're saying key things: geriatric by age 35, putting the career first. Maybe the man may be there, he may not be there. So, do you need to, ladies, think about starting a family if you're not able to do it right now? And what does that look like? And I want to take a slight pivot and ask you about this, because you are very adamant about sharing with women too. Okay, you can think about this egg retrieval process, the IVF journey, which is part of the IVF journey, but
Mhm.
also don't rule out another part of this, which you talk about, is adoption.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
So, when I was unsuccessful at, I guess, conceiving um, through the IVF transfers, the embryo transfers, I considered adoption. I began doing research, and adoption is not easy either.
Yeah.
A lot of people assume that it's not going to take that long, and what I found out was, based on the path that I was already on with IVF, it would be faster for me to have a child through the IVF process than probably the adoption process.
Wow.
So if
Wow.
you wondering, wanting to adopt a child, I would say begin to go in and go through the process. You can always say no, or you can always stop the process if you aren't ready. but at least you can start the process. And the one thing I didn't know is that, the parents or the parent of that child has to choose you too. It's not just, a one-way street. And then I began to think, well, what mother or, mother or father would want to pick me over a family that actually has a husband and a wife to raise a
Mhm,
child. So I felt
mhm,
like I may not be the first round pick for a family that is giving their child away for adoption.
mhm.
um Maybe they want someone that looks like they're more stable with more family to help raise that child. And so that was the other reason why I continued to move forward with the IVF process. And so I'm not saying that, single moms don't get selected for adoption. I'm not saying that. I just, based on what I was going through, it just seemed like it may be a longer process for me to be able to adopt and just go through the IVF process and do that way.
So at the very least, we can't cover all of the details, but at the very least, I love having this conversation because at the end of the day, what you're saying, and in a nutshell, is there is hope. Even in
Mhm.
your single state, wanting to be a mom. And I wanted to make sure that I looped this in because we were talking a little earlier today, and I was taking some notes about some
Mhm.
things that you said. It's very important to make sure that we shout out the men who are supporting women going through the journey as well.
Definitely. One of the things that I did when I was going to definitely get a surrogate and have the child through the IVF process,
Hmm.
um, I met my fiance, and at the beginning of our
Congratulations.
dating process, yeah, at the beginning of our dating process on our first date,
Hmm.
I brought the subject up because I wanted to make sure he knew who I really was and what my goals were and what I was in the process of doing, because I didn't want to be unfair to him, and I didn't want to get too far in a relationship with beginning to really like him. And so I wanted to give him options if he really liked me and what my life would be transpiring in the next couple years. And so I think that he respected the fact that I was transparent with him about that so he could make a decision, if he wanted to support me through that. And
Hmm.
he jokes and says he's Boaz. And I said, okay, that's fine if you want to be Boaz. I appreciate that. But it's really important for me to give kudos to him too for sticking
Being
around,
there.
because yeah, for being there, and also now with my child, with picking him up if I need help picking him up or dropping him off at school, or just being a second set of hands is really really helpful, and you need that support. The surrogate that I picked actually was married and had children and things like that, and so I did that intentionally because I knew how it felt to go through the process of trying to do that alone, and it is definitely not easy. And so I would
Yeah.
encourage women to try to develop a village around them and their support system. And I'm still in the process of building my village of, sitters to help me out when I need help. And that's an ongoing process, just like, the other things I'm working on day to day with my job. I'm also he's another job, basically,
Yeah.
right? That I have to actually plan for and make sure that he has sitters that can help me on time.
Yeah. I'm sitting here listening, and Latrice, I have to say this because this popped in my head when you mentioned this earlier, right? What do you say, and you don't have to give me the exact conversation, but what do you say to a gentleman that you're dating when you say, I'm starting a family and I'm gonna do I'm gonna do this, and I'm not laughing and making light. I'm starting a family. How does that go?
Well, I mean, I think it's almost like if you're starting a relationship and you're telling a person some things that you went through previously in dating relationships,
Hmm.
and you're being transparent, some things that have happened to you, um maybe while you're a little gun shy about dating. To me, that's part of the process. But for me, I've had situations where I've had to not be afraid of abandonment, and what I mean by that is not being afraid of being left in a relationship. and how does that make you feel, um, and being secure enough in myself, if the person leaves, then knowing that that person wasn't meant to be a part of my life in that journey. And so I think once I got to that part of my journey, I became more confident in expressing exactly what I wanted. And so I knew that that wasn't something I was willing to pivot on. I knew it wasn't something I was willing to wait any longer, and to be considerate of someone else's feelings. Because oftentimes in relationships, you don't want to be selfish and not consider what they want in life. And, so, and that's why at the very beginning, on the very first date, I talked about it, because I didn't want to be selfish. I didn't want to be inconsiderate. I didn't
Yeah.
want, if, he had other options for him to, go seek the other options, because this is what I'm doing and this is what I want. And you just had to get to that point. And I mean, I was at that point. I was over 40, so it was just,
Yeah.
there's no more time to wait for me,
Yeah. 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 What you're saying is let's normalize being straightforward, and let's
Mhm.
normalize setting out clear expectations and being clear. This is the road I'm traveling. I'm giving you permission to abort. I'm giving you permission to get off of this train if this is not where you're going. But these are some commitments I've made. That's what I hear. And I think at
Mhm.
the end of the day, even if he didn't agree with it, I think it's all you have to respect that fortitude. And everything I hear, and I'm always hearing things from the perspective of things that could land and that I'm hoping will land with women. So you talked about the abandonment. That's huge, because how many of us as women
Mhm.
deal with abandonment, and if it's not the same, it's sure akin rejection. you
Mhm.
know if I choose me, and if I choose what I desire, I'm going to be rejected, by this guy, or he's just going to abandon ship. So hearing that, and then not being afraid to be abandoned, and
Mhm.
stick to what you desire, and then um staying the process. I love this, and I'm hoping some things land, and actually no hope in it, it will land with some ladies, because there are some ladies who may very well face this situation, and I dare say who do, and have to make that decision about their families. And with that in mind, I'm going to round this out, and I'm going to say, this is starting the conversation with you, and I admire how you're allowing us to peel back the curtain and peel back the veil and look at your journey, with another set of eyes, with a different set of eyes. And I'll just, kind of open the door for you and say, we're certainly hopeful that this is not the only time that you get to talk in this platform, and in this platform here. You believe
Mhm.
there's more to be told, to share with women?
I do, and that's one thing I wanted to add.
Sure.
I don't want people to think that with the different procedures that I went through to get my baby here, that it was um, something that was easy, because, oftentimes when it doesn't work out the first time, we begin to think, well, maybe God doesn't want this for me. Maybe this isn't for my life. Maybe I should just, be satisfied with what I have now. And one of the things I had to pray about literally was, God, if it is for me, God, let it happen for me. But until you show me otherwise, that it's not for me, then I'm going to continue this journey. And so
Love.
sometimes you have to stick with it. Just like with me being an entrepreneur, it's not for the faint at heart. And I think that, entrepreneurs are made from a different cloth. But don't
Got
don't let
that
people talk you out of what you desire for your life by saying, well, it didn't work the first time. Well, okay, it didn't work the first time. So continue to go through the door, continue to seek after what you really want in life, and don't give up. And that's one of the things I want to make sure that people really, really hear. This part of the story is that there were times that it did not work. There were times where the egg retrievals were canceled. There were times where it was devastating for me. And so, with that said, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that's, the saying goes, delayed but not denied.
right.
That is basically my testimony, is that, truly. And so, what I would like to do in the future is I would really like to be able to, write a book about my journey, with IVF entrepreneurship. That is something that's really important to me, because I feel that, going through something like this, I definitely should not keep it to myself, but I should share it to be a testimony to help other people to know that if it happens for me, it can happen for you as well. And there was no roadmap for me to be able to read about, especially that look like me. And so I just want to make sure that people know that it is achievable. Even sometimes I didn't think it was achievable, but I just continue to pray about it and continue to work toward it gradually. And that's why it took so long, but it
Mhm.
did happen. So
Yeah, yeah. Wow, what fortitude you have. And I have said this to you from day one. You are going to help some ladies because this now has to be an option. And the ladies will have to be able to stand, regardless of acceptance, even by family and friends, regardless of acceptance or regardless of rejection by family and friends. Because sometimes in our community, I will say this, you don't have to say it, I will, because it's new, because it's different, because it's not traditional, you have the barrier of people not encouraging you to go that route, even the route of adoption. If you don't have the child,
mhm.
well, everybody is not going to have the ability to be able to have a child. Some people are going to deal with some physical issues that limit that. Some women are not going to have partners. So you have to have the fortitude, I believe, to be able to stand and make that decision and hang in there with your own decision. Um, Latrice Slade, I want to say thank you. You're an inspiration. Like I said, beautiful cover. I want you all to make sure that you look for copies in and around the city of Birmingham. You can also see her article online at the Birmingham Times. And Latrice, how can we follow you on your with your company as far as
Yes,
what you're doing?
yes. I have a Facebook page of Slade Land Use, Environmental and Transportation Planning.
Yes.
And I also have a LinkedIn page, Slade Land Use, Environmental and Transportation Planning. So, and I think I'm on Instagram too. It's Slade underscore LLC. So those are three different social media options to follow us.
To follow lots of success in your personal life and also professionally too. Award-winning entrepreneur in Birmingham. We are proud of you. I'm proud of you. I thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing the story.
You're welcome. Have a great one.
Okay, bye bye, everyone.
Bye. All right. We heard there from Latrice Slade. Y'all, I don't know what I'm doing with my hair here. I play in my hair and you see the result there. But wow, oh wow, what a great story to hear from her about her in vitro fertilization journey. My goodness. My goodness. It has to be a part of the conversation. It has to be. Right quick, before I forget, I want to make sure that I share and I want to make sure that I show you all how you can. Let's see, let me stop sharing. 'Cause, I like to do sort of behind the scenes production here. I kind of love to keep my hands in that. So let me pull up a couple of things so you all can see how to follow her. Okay. So first and foremost, she mentioned her Facebook page. So we're going to go to Facebook. There's her Facebook page, okay? See a lovely picture there with apparently some team members or such and such. And here we go. Slade Land Use, Environmental and Transportation Planning. So you can follow her there first and foremost. She also talked about her website, and it's sladellc.com. Uh-oh, sorry, doing a little something something with this thing here. SladeLLC.com. That is, oh, sorry, and you all don't even see that. So hold on, let me change that out and let me go to another little, y'all. I play a lot on these mechanisms, so you all have to give me a little bit of grace. Let me go back now and let me go to the other website. We're going to find her website and we're going to share her website, which is right here. Here we go. That's her website. Okay. Slade LLC, environmental consulting and general contracting. Here's her website. Women owned, women's business enterprise. So award winning professional, multidisciplined, innovative, recognized not only here locally, but also across the Southeast, also across the nation. seeing a few pictures here of her and some of her team members and some of the things that she does. But it's Slade Land Use, Environmental, and Transportation Planning, LLC. So you can follow her there. And I just want to say to you, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that that blessed some of you. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Tammy. Tammy says, what a great story. I have to put that comment there. Tammy, you are always so supportive, and I'm always so appreciative of you. I just thought that story, Tammy, I thought her story was so inspirational. Like, we all have, some of us are very blessed and have been very fortunate to have children. We don't think anything about it. But there are some women who, there's some women whom I know, and they are crying today. They have been crying. They have been upset. They have been disappointed, angry even that they can't have children and that they haven't been able to conceive. And so hearing things like that, hearing that story gives them a nugget of hope. So that's why I'm here on a Friday, on a cloudy Friday. I want to bring you hope with Evolve. I want to bring you hope. So, and like she said, have the fortitude. Let me go back over some of the things she said before I get out of here. We're getting ready to wrap it up, but let me give you some of my notes from her conversation. I'm still a reporter, once a reporter and once a journalist, always a journalist, right? No, you have options. If you have dealt with infertility issues, listen, I am 52. I have not conceived a child. Not that I didn't try, but again, it's just being transparent and just opening the door for the conversation, especially in our community. If you have some challenges, you have options, whether it's IVF, whether it's going the route of choosing a surrogate mom, whether it's going the route of adopting children, okay? If you're plotting out your career, plotting out your life, you may want to think about that. In the event you have some challenges within your body, in the event you don't have the husband and that structure in place, what are you going to do? What will you do? No, you have options, ladies, when you want to start your family. And even if you don't have a relationship at the time, you have to think about the men in your life along the IVF journey. Because what if you meet someone and you're going through the process? You have to let him know and even welcome his support along the way. Welcome his support and let him know this is where I am. This is what I'm looking at, which leads to my next point in the notes, because I took notes while I was listening to the interview again. Normalize honest conversation about the IVF journey. Latrice said, I told the gentleman whom she's now engaged to, yay him, yay her. She said, I told him, this is what I'm doing. This is what this looks like for me now. And this was the first conversation. So he could have a choice and say, I want to be a part of this, or I don't want to be a part of it. Not my journey, not my story. I'm going to go on. No feelings hurt. We just move on. Normalize having honest conversations about the IVF journey, and also remember the men in your life along this journey. Allow them to help you. Allow them to support you. It takes a village to raise a child. That's another thing that she talks about in the fact of allowing people to support her. It's tough. She's running a company. Okay? Overseeing an award-winning company as a single Black female. She's engaged, but has for years as a single Black female. So a normal work day is she gets up, she gets dressed, gets the baby dressed, she takes him off to daycare, and then at the end of the day, she goes and picks him up and brings him back home because she wants to be involved. These are honest conversations about the IVF journey, honest conversations about what happens when you go through a surrogate parent to have your child, and what happens if you don't have a husband. What does that look like? Okay. So again, normalize honest conversation about the IVF journey. Be secure in who you are and what you want. Everyone will not understand this journey, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone will not agree to this journey. There will be some men, possibly, whom you say, I want a child and I don't want to wait to see if we're going to work out. So I'm going to start this IVF process, just, for teaching purposes only. I would love for you to be a part, but if you don't want to be a part, I'm okay with that. Be secure in who you are and what you want. Even family and friends may not understand. You've got to be secure in that and understand that family and friends may or may not support you. Hey, auntie. Hey, auntie. You've got to be secure. I was a business owner with small children. It was challenging, but it can be done. Yes, it can, Tammy. Yes, it can be done. I love it. I love it. But it's challenging, though. As Tammy mentioned here, it's challenging. It's challenging. What else? Be secure in who you are. Be straightforward. You don't want to get into a relationship and let him know, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, you're engaged. Oh, by the way, I'm along the IVF journey and just thought I'd let you know that, but you're thinking he's in love with you now, so he's not going to go anywhere. You've got him stuck. No, tell him up front, have the conversation up front and be honest about it. And even be honest about it if you are in a relationship and or even married and you want to consider adoption, you want to consider some other things to have a family. If you two are not able to conceive, know that there are options out there and be straightforward in your conversation. And finally, stay the course on the IVF journey. Did you hear what she said? Oh my gosh, she said it didn't work the first couple of times. She didn't take that as a no. She just decided, I'm going to keep at it. She didn't take it as a no. She just kept moving forward, one step at a time. Sure, the failure didn't feel good, but she kept going. Stay the course if you're going to start on the IVF journey. It is my sincere desire that we left you with something to inspire you today. We left you with something to help you today. Tammy Burrows Carden, you have strong determination. I love that about a person. She does. And Tammy, Miss Linda is my aunt. She's my mom's sister. um, and she sure does, because Miss Tammy says, "Listen, I was a business owner with small children. It was challenging, but it can be done." Ladies, you are phenomenal. You are strong. You are able to do incredible things. And if having a child is on your list of what you want to do, it's not up to me. It's not up to anyone else to judge you. It's what you desire. I just want to be able to give you some tools that help you and inspire you, because let's be honest, relationships are happening in some cases later. And for some women, I'm not going to say they won't ever find love, but the reality is there's some women who may not ever get married. So does that mean if you don't get married, does that mean you have to throw away the dream of having a child? Just asking a question. So I hope you all have a fantastic Friday. Thanks again. Shout out again to Latrice Slade for her honest conversation. It is my prayer that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. And next week on Evolve, we are going to talk to Antonio Boswell, from employee to entrepreneur. Oh, we're going to have some good conversation. That's my jam. That's my jam. Because I went from a corporate employee to an entrepreneur. And let me tell you, let me go ahead and give you a little hint. It's not for the faint of heart, but that's my time. Thank you so much, Auntie. She says, "My niece, you are an inspiration. Once you set your mind to do something, there ain't no stopping you." There is not. Y'all, I love you. We'll see you again next Friday with Antonio Boswell. But before that, even, Joe and I are at Filter Coffee Parlor on Wednesday. Okay. And we'll see you there as well. Wednesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Bye, y'all. Have a great Friday. We'll see you later. Okay. Bye.